What is going on, everybody? What is going on, the Catch fam? It is Lord Big Head here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the must-start defenses for your fantasy football teams in Week 3. And if you are not already a part of the Catch fam, we certainly recommend that you would hit that subscribe button, join the best community in all of fantasy football, and we would also recommend that you hit those comments below. Leave any questions that you have or any advice that you need on your team at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, kicker, or defense. We are here to help you out ahead of the next week's slate of games, guys. So without further ado, we're going to get into the must-start defenses. Up in number one, we're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars, led by Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, but man, they are led by a fearsome unit with Josh Allen on the defensive side of the ball, guys. The Jacksonville Jaguars team, they did just lose to the Kansas City Chiefs, but they had 9 fantasy points. They still got up the quarterback with a sack, and they had an interception against Patrick Mahomes. This defense is legit. Okay, I think if you have seen any of these games, you now know this, right? The Jacksonville Jaguars aren't just an offensive unit, they have the defense to back it up. This is a team that is going to be a Super Bowl contender in my mind, and it is because of how strong this defense is. They can win those games late in the season. They get after the quarterback at will. They can create turnovers. That is a big thing they do. The sacks and the turnovers, that is what the Jacksonville Jaguars defense is known for. And they get to go up against the Houston Texans. CJ Stroud already banged up early on in his career. Not a big surprise because he plays for the Houston Texans. But the Houston Texans have not really been a great offense so far. I mean, CJ has done a couple things that I've been excited about, but this has been a great streaming option for the defense position, especially if it's a good defense to go up against the Houston Texans. So I'm definitely throwing the Jacksonville Jaguars in any lineup I can find, guys. They are going to have a great game. I think the Jags are going to want to bounce back in a big way too. It is a division matchup, but the fact that they lost a close one against Kansas City, I think they're going to be angry. I think they're going to be hungry, and they're going to want to put up a boatload of points against the Houston Texans. This is a home game for the Jacksonville Jaguars too. Okay, so this is another reason why we want to throw the Jags into our lineups. Up next, we're talking about a defense that may be trending down a little bit to some people's mind. The whole team might not be as good as we maybe thought coming into the season. We're talking about the New England Patriots. All right, we're talking about one of the best coaches in all of football history, and I understand some people are saying maybe he's past his prime, right? But Bill Belichick coaches up a great defense, coaches up some great specialty teams. I mean, I think we all saw the crazy special teams play that happened on Sunday Night Football against the Miami Dolphins, right? But if you look at what the Patriots have had to go through so far in the first 2 weeks, right? Philadelphia, right? The Eagles may be the best team in football right now. They are making a strong case that nobody's going to get in their way to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. Then Miami Dolphins, probably the best offense in football right now with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. I mean, the whole team just looks absolutely explosive. I don't know if anybody can stop them. They're playing the Jets this week. The Patriots are playing the Jets. The Jets are not the Philadelphia Eagles or the Miami Dolphins. This is a beautiful matchup for so many different reasons. The Patriots haven't had a whole lot of stats so far. I mean, they've only had one interception on the season. Mr. Gonzalez is a great corner in the Patriots, and he had a great pick last night on Sunday Night Football. But I think the Pats, this is where they're going to step up. This is where they're going to start really becoming the defense that we expected them to be going up against the Jets. They have historically owned Zach Wilson. They make this dude look silly. They make him look bad. Maybe they don't make him see ghosts like the Patriots made Sam Darnold see ghosts. But these guys own Zach Wilson. Definitely going out to my waivers. I am going to pick up the Patriots defense to stream against the Jets because while Zach Wilson did a couple good things against the Cowboys defense, which is an absolutely incredible defense to have, I wasn't really that excited about it. I mean, he scrambles a little bit. He makes a little bit of plays with his feet, but he still does those random Hail Mary pass plays that are just going to be picked off. And Bill Belichick, the reason why he's had so much success against a quarterback like Zach Wilson is because he takes advantage of his lack of IQ. He schemes up all these different defensive schemes in the secondary to make him think that the play is going one way when it's going another. Zach throws it. It's a pick. I think the Jets are going to get housed in this game. I think the Patriots are going to step up in a big way. I think the Pats defense is going to crush Zach Wilson. And on the other side of the ball, I think the Jets defense are going to play pretty well against the Patriots too. So I think it's going to be relatively low scoring. So I think you're going to have a pretty safe floor. But I think the Pats defense is going to give you a higher ceiling than a lot of people expected you're going to see him on your waivers more than likely too because of how they have not played up to the caliber that we are expecting so far. Up next, we're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs defense, which I think is actually trending upward this season, guys, because they had 5 fantasy points week 1 against the Detroit Lions, who were supposed to be a really good offense. And honestly, they have been a really good offense so far this season. And the Chiefs defense came out there. They had a sack. They played well. They played conservative. They didn't let too many chunk plays happen against them. I was impressed with them. And, I think historically we've always looked at this Chiefs defense like they're the weakest part of the football team. And maybe they are, but they have always stepped up when it's crunch time, right? I mean, they always play much better in the postseason. And I think they're kind of carrying that forward into the regular season this year because they look good. And now with their guy, Chris Jones, in the middle back, which that is a huge impact to the team. I mean, Chris Jones is seriously one of the best interior defensive linemen we've seen over the past, like, I don't know, multiple years. I mean, 5+ years. And Chris Jones has been an absolute tank down the middle, right? But going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars in week 2, guys, they had 11 fantasy points, 4 sacks, a forced fumble, and they looked great. They were playing all over the place. They held the Jacksonville Jaguars offense to much less of an explosive offense than they did against the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, we expect so much out of the Jags. I mean, they have so many weapons. Calvin Ridley was basically held to nothing. The Kansas City Chiefs know what they're doing, guys. I think this defense is much improved from last year. They have done a ton over the draft over the past couple of years to improve this defense. And I think they're going to be legit this year. And you know what's even more legit? The fact that you always want to stream against Justin Fields, who has been terrible so far in the football season this year. Justin Fields has now allowed each defense that has played against him to be tremendous options for streaming purposes, whether it be Green Bay, whether it be Tampa Bay, whether it now be Kansas City. We are going to stream against Justin Fields because he is having some issues with turning the ball over. And whether you want to blame it on the supporting cast of Justin Fields or you want to blame it on Justin Fields, either way, we need to stream against it because it's such a big upside for your fantasy football team, guys. So go ahead, grab the Kansas City Chiefs defense, continue to stream against Justin Fields. I think the Chiefs are in for another big day because I think the Chiefs offense is going to light up this Bears defense, which is going to put Justin Fields in a position where he has got to move the ball down the field. He's got to take chances. And when Justin Fields takes chances, the ball is turned over. All right, guys, up next is the Cleveland Browns defense going up against the Tennessee Titans. And now this video is being recorded prior to the Browns-Steelers game. I expect the Browns defense to play tough. Obviously, I think the Browns are going to not have Amari Cooper. But again, this is recorded prior to the game. And I really loved what I saw out of the Browns defense week 1 against Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, I think now 2 weeks into the season, we can see that the Bengals offense really isn't what it was over the past couple of years. But I think the Browns defense, led by Myles Garrett, and then that explosive secondary really has played at a top-notch level so far this year. I really like what I'm seeing out of the pass rush. I mean, they bring Zadarius Smith over too, who's been one of the better young pass rushers in the league over the past couple of years, whether his stint was in Minnesota or Green Bay. I love the guy. I think he's a great compliment to Myles Garrett. But now you're going up against Tennessee, right? Tennessee didn't really have a outstanding week 2, but they did play much better, especially in the ground game against the Chargers, right? But the Chargers defense is absolutely terrible, whether they've gotten destroyed by the Miami Dolphins or, letting Derrick Henry run on them week 2 against the Tennessee Titans. So I think you got to separate kind of the Browns from the Chargers defense in terms of the type of level that they're at. So I think the Browns are going to be able to get at Ryan Tannehill really easily, take advantage of this offensive line, take advantage of the lack of receiving options because I still didn't see really anything out of DeAndre Hopkins that's going to get me excited. I still didn't really see anything out of Traylon Burks that's going to get me excited. So it's still kind of a recipe of, Ryan Tannehill's got to run for his life. Hopefully Derrick Henry makes some plays with his feet. And I think this defense is going to be able to clamp down on that. They're going to take advantage of it. They're going to make Ryan Tannehill run for his life. This is in Cleveland too. I think that the Cleveland Browns do play better at home. And I think the Browns are going to get after him, make some turnovers, and have a ton of sacks. I mean, they had 2 sacks week 1 against the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a far worse team. I am definitely streaming the Cleveland Browns going into week 3 of the fantasy football season. Lastly, guys, I am going to throw these dudes back out there because Seattle Seahawks proved to me in week 2 what they should have proved to me in week 1. I recommended the Seattle Seahawks week 1, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't know the Rams were actually good this year, and they only had 1 fantasy point. They really did nothing week 1 against the Rams, but week 2 they come out here. Everyone's counting them down, right? Nobody thinks they have a chance against the Detroit Lions, who just went in there and beat Kansas City, right? Seattle Seahawks, they're done with. They were overhyped. Geno Smith's overhyped. Well, the Seattle Seahawks came into Detroit and won that game, and a large part of that was because of the defense, who had a pick six. They had 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. They had 15 fantasy points. They absolutely dominated. They did what we thought they were going to do coming into the year with all these young, talented rookies and fast, explosive players. They get Jamal Adams back, who has been a very explosive safety in the past. He makes plays happen. He sets the tone on the defensive side of the ball. I was really encouraged by what I saw out of the Seahawks in week 2, and that is what's given me really just giving me the courage to throw them back out to you guys, because I know that you were kind of questioning me after week 1, but I'm going to throw them back out to you. If you're in some deep leagues, I think they'll still be available because people are still nervous about them. But they're going up against Carolina Panthers, right? Again, this is before the Monday night slate of games with the Carolina Panthers going up against the New Orleans Saints. But I recommended that you stream against Carolina Panthers week 2. I'm going to recommend that you stream against them in week 3 as well. I'm not super excited about this Carolina Panthers offense. I don't really know what they can do in week 2 to really prove to me that they don't deserve to be streamed against. I think the Seahawks are going to be able to have a pretty good game. I think the Seahawks offense is going to be able to stay in rhythm. They're going to be able to stay kind of taking that momentum that they had in week 2 onward. And then, guys, right after that, they play Carolina. They played the New York Giants, and then they're on bye week. So you could potentially have the Seattle Seahawks for 2 great games, because while the Giants did come back against Arizona, they still didn't look good, right? They still had an entire half of football where they didn't score any points. They went 6 straight quarters without scoring a point. And I know they had a great comeback against Arizona, but that doesn't really mean a whole lot to me. I think the Seattle Seahawks are potentially a great streaming option for 2 weeks, but we'll see what they do against Carolina first. And with that said, that has been the must-start defenses for your fantasy football teams going into week 3. Really recommend that you hit the subscribe button and join the best community in all of fantasy football. And get in those comments. Let us know what questions you have at the quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, kicker, or defense position, and we'll help you get your teams ready for next week. And with that said, this has been the must-start defenses, and you saw it here first at the catch.